Hello, my Bill 4000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another That Chapter. This one was titled CCTV Records a Cannibal's Horrific Murder. Damn. That sounds a little fuckered. No, what doesn't sound fuckered, though? The new B5 Nation hat, bruh. Go over, check out the Bill 5000 merch store, get your hat today. Keep your bald head safe from that brutal, brutal sun this summer, bruh. With the Bill 5000 hat. Several different selections. This is my favorite. It's the dad hat. Leave me alone.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike.
Hello, Mike. I forgot that. If you guys are as ready as I am, go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, couple something special. Let's get disgusted. I have a feeling it's going to be very disgusting. It's a cannibal's murder. I mean, it's going to be fucked.
And in this old video, I have a story for you. A story that is like pure kind of insanity. Which means it has it all. Cannibals, killers, crossbows. What more do you need? You know, right there. That's a triple D. A man, a Steve to be precise, he was hardcore. He was dork. He was goth to the extreme. With a sick and twisted mind. Of course, that's like what he definitely wanted people to think. He wanted everybody to think he was as dark as can be. He was ultra goth. And then it became one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies when women around the city of Bradford in the UK started disappearing.
Control, push the wrist up to the neck, and snap.
And here's something else. Crossbows are like the weapon of choice. For so many folks, it's kind of baffling, which we will get into. Now, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go.
This whole story unravels. Definitely unravels, like the minds in this video. They unravel, like my mind is unraveling, in the city of Bradford, England, which is in West Yorkshire. No accent this time. Quite exciting, really. It's known for its wool. Yep, that's its identifying quality. It is the wool capital of the world. Look at you. It has a wealth of museums.
Is it? Is it really? Is it really the wool capital of the world? That's cool, though. Ba, black sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full.
Parks, shopping strips, and theaters galore. The culture in Bradford is nothing short of expansive, and its population is just over 500,000. Bradford is known for a lot, and has a lot. Something for everyone. But moving on to the case now.
I like that. I like that. I like that right there. I like all that. I'll tell you why. Because it looks like it goes into a circle. It's not even a full circle, but I like that. I like towns that come in onto a focal point like that. Like everything looks like it's kind of converging onto like this little section here. It's like shoo, shoo, shoo. Like even the roads come up and turn in this way. What's that? I don't know. I love places so much. Landscapes. I love landscapes. I love cityscapes. I just love everything, bro.
Well, actually, before I do,
I take that back. I don't love everything, but I like that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
I'll cover a good few cases from England and like the UK, but did you ever notice that the vast majority of them are from like Yorkshire, West Yorkshire, around those parts?
I never noticed.
Yorkshire, aka British Florida. Now we can move on. On the morning of May 24th, 2010, on Monday, 53-year-old Peter Gee showed up to work at an apartment complex, Homefield Court, where he had been employed as a caretaker for the previous 3 years.
Oh, fuck.
He started his, regular routine, which is reviewing video footage from the CCTV cameras, in his apartment complex, reviewing what was going on over the weekend. Any crack? Anybody up to no good? As he sat there with his coffee, or more like
He was the shade man. He was there to see who was throwing shade at who and when they was throwing that shade. Yeah.
Likely his cuppa, right? He was reviewing the footage and scanning through the stuff when he kind of like did a double take. He spat out his tea. That was when he got to the night of Saturday, which is May 22nd. He was kind of like zoning out, and then he saw something he will never be able to unsee. On the screen before him, he watched as a young woman ran down the corridor, seemingly terrified. Coming up behind her, a man with a crossbow. He aimed, fired, and missed. He shot again, and this time he hit the woman through the head. She was...
I remember that face. What did we watch this on? Was it a Maverick Files or... I don't think it was Mr. Nightmare. It's either like Nick Crawley or Maverick Files. But I know I've seen that mug. Right there. Somewhere. Because if I'm not mistaken, like he comes out, does what he does, goes back in, comes back out. Like, yeah. Fucked up individual, bruh.
Lifeless. That man was 40-year-old Stephen Griffiths. Stephen then spotted the CCTV footage, realizing he'd been caught, and rather than try to destroy the camera or the footage, he turned to face the camera and held up the crossbow in what could only be described as a toast. Then, Stephen was seen dragging the woman by her legs back into his apartment. He returned with a drink in his hand, held it up, and then flipped the camera the bird. The footage next showed him coming and going with bags after bags, which were later found out to be pieces of his victim. Stephen Griffiths. Bit of a character, as you can probably tell. He also went by the name Then Pariah, which is... wow. You ever encounter people who are just like, you know, I'm dark. Guys, just so you know, I am dark. I am goth. That's this nutsack in a nutshell. By the way, just a little kind of tangent I noticed. Using a crossbow? Pretty common in the UK. They love them some crossbows over there. In April 2019,
Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Is that the number one to get marked over there? Is crossbows? Well, I'll be damned. No, okay. Can I ask a question? Now, is the reason why crossbows in some areas are like the go-to weapon in those cases? Is it because those ones doesn't like abide by private gun owning rule shit things? Like I know some places like, you know, private people can't just own guns. And, you know, if you do, it's got to be a hunting gun, and, you know, it can be taken away from you if you do stupid shit. And some places just don't allow gun ownership at all. Is that due to those places being like that is why they prefer crossbows? Or do they just prefer crossbows to like a Glock?
retired lecturer named Gerald Corrigan was watching TV late one night, this was in Anglesey, Wales, when all of a sudden the TV lost signal. Now, Gerald lived in a very remote part of Anglesey, very close to the water, and so maybe, you know, the winds had picked up and knocked out his satellite dish or something like that. So he thought, you know, maybe it's something to do with the satellite, you know, on top of his house, whatever. Really dark outside, but he's like, you know, I'll go out and have a goo. And he did so. He walked outside to look, you know, at the cables and shit. How do TVs work? I don't know. He was promptly shot with a crossbow and died. The investigation would determine it was sports therapist Terry Whall who had killed the man.
Okay, so our breathing, we'll put
What?
breathing in a second. What we're going to do now is we're just going to open the lungs up, all angles, okay? Arms crossed, and you step out, so you're facing 45 to the corner.
Police were led to Terry as he was one of the 17 people on Anglesey who had purchased a crossbow in the last 10 years, and crossbows, they are controlled items. A car was also later found burnt out, suspiciously. Now, this car belonged to Terry's partner, but she was out of the country at the time it was destroyed. The car's GPS showed it had been near Gerald's home the night of the murder.
He
and
doesn't
then, of
have
course,
the
it was
best of
determined
form.
he had purchased the same crossbow bolt and crossbow as the murder weapon. His Amazon history pointed out there were only 2 people who made that purchase, and the other fella quickly discounted. It appeared that Terry tampered with Gerald's satellite dish the night of, and then ambushed him outside. For that, he got 31 years. A motive has never been proven. Never proven, but it was suggested that Gerald Corrigan was a victim of fraud to a local fella. He'd given him like £250,000 to do some work for him, work which was never done. When Gerald came around asking for his money back, the guy didn't take too kindly to that. And so this guy then hired Terry Whall, who was also in debt by about £50,000. Terry Whall was hired to murder Gerald Corrigan. It's never been proven, but that's what the rumor mill seems to be.
Okay.
The whole story actually
Okay.
of Terry Whall and Gerald Corrigan, it's really wild. As you can see in his videos, which he posts on YouTube of him doing sports therapy. Terry was originally from London, and his alibi
That was sports therapy. Looked like martial arts. Didn't look like he had the best form, but I do not judge because I'm not a martial artist. I took a lot of classes whenever I was younger because it was like a trend and it was fun, and honestly I had a lot of fun doing it, but that's about the extent of it. I don't know shit else, but I do know his form was shit.
for the night of the murder of Gerald Corrigan. His alibi to the police was that he was having sex with a guy in a field. Now, Terry was married to a lady, but then the guy...
Where do you have sex with your guys at? I'm waiting, Mike. Where? Don't judge this feller on where he does his due. Maybe he likes... Maybe he likes to, you know, sprinkle his own dewdrops. Tiptoe through the daisies. Spreading dewdrops everywhere.
Terry claimed he was having sex with came forward and said, I've never met Terry in my life. So it's kind of a strange alibi. But yeah, Terry was arrested, is imprisoned, and no kind of real reason as to why he murdered this guy with a crossbow has ever been found. Or how about in 2021 when Maricel Melinte in Southampton shot a man in his own backyard in the head with a crossbow. Once again, no real motive. Some people have come forward and said either the victim or Marcel were pressuring the other to sell drugs.
What?
Some people were saying Marcel was pressuring the victim. The other people say victim was pressuring Marcel. And so Marcel was like, hey, listen, I'm going to sort this out with a crossbow to the head. That's it. The victim somehow managed to survive the attack, even with a freaking crossbow bolt sticking out of his dome. And Marcel was later arrested and sentenced to 18 years for attempted murder. But again, kind of no real motive. So I
What?
guess it's kind of just seen as crossbows are kind of like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. You're just driven mad when you see them, and you have to use them. And before we continue, let me just let you know that today's video is sponsored by Factor. What's Factor? I hear you're barking, big dog. Big hungry dog. Factor cuts out stressful meal planning with its chef-prepared, ready-to-eat meals. Yum yum. How does
So, what I'm understanding is the dude got shot in his flipping head. Got shot straight in his head. Did he pull out the thing? Was it still in there? How does that work? I know, I'm being serious. Like, how is this fucking working, bro? Like, how are you going to walk around with a crossbow bolt sticking out of your fucking head? I don't understand none of it. Okay, that's out. Back to the commercial.
these shakes shots yummy? To get one of them exclusive deals just for you and your tummy, use my link down below, scan this QR code, and use code CHAPTERMAR50 to receive 16 free meals and free dessert for life while your subscription is active. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this whole video. You're going to be
Thank you,
good,
Factor.
healthy, and easy with my boy Factor.
Thank you, Factor.
Now back to Stephen Sean Griffiths, who was born in December 24th, Christmas Eve, 1969. Nice. Born, though, on Christmas Eve, does that mean he only gets one present instead of two? That might drive
Yes.
anybody mad.
Yes, it does.
Born in Dewsbury, Yorkshire, to Stephen Griffiths Sr. and Moira Dewhurst. Stephen was the eldest out of 3 children. His parents' marriage came to an end and they divorced, leaving all 3 children in his mother's care. This was a bad idea. See, Moira, the mom, she was eventually convicted of benefit fraud, by the way, which is the least of her kind of sucking ass, quite literally. Because Moira, much like her son, bit of a character. Kind of one of those situations where it's no doubt Stephen grew up a little messed up in the head, a little sick and twisted mind. See, aside from her benefit fraud, the little scheme she had going on, neighbors would claim that Moira often brought men home to the house and would have sex with them in the backyard, in full view of all of the neighbors. I mean, listen, when this was happening, maybe there really was nothing on TV, so at least she was putting on a show. But if the
There
neighbors
you
saw it, you can imagine
go.
Stephen definitely saw it.
And they're going to sit back and complain about this poor lady trying to just help out her community. That's just rude. She's just trying to put on a show. It's your choice to watch. I would pop some popcorn, bruh.
Too. Stephen's
Standing ovation. Wow. Yeah. Wow. You know what I mean?
childhood definitely gives Jeffrey Dahmer vibes. You know, this guy had issues from an early age. He often bragged to classmates that he killed and skinned birds and tortured other animals. But his most serious offenses happened at the ripe age of 17.
Yeah,
While
he's
being
a
caught
serial
shoplifting
killer.
at a local department store, Stephen lashed out at the security guard with a knife, striking him. This cost him 3 years in youth custody, where it stated he lost all contact.
Hey, he's got
with his
Neil
family.
McCoy hair,
He
bro.
told officers, like, during this time that he often fantasized about kind of like killing, torturing people, and he did say he would be a serial killer by the time he was 30. It's important to set goals. Less
It
than a
is.
year after his release in
I mean, what is life if you don't have a goal? Bro. I mean, I hate to say it, but at least he had goals, you know? Some people, they're just lost cause. But that feller had a goal, and he went for it.
1989, he was arrested once again for possession of an air pistol, which he claimed he was just using to shoot birds and stuff, you know, no biggie, just birds, lads. It's not like I'm kind of working my way up. In 1991, he was officially diagnosed as a sadistic, schizoid psychopath. In 1992, he was arrested again for holding a knife to a woman's throat. That's 2 years right there. He later enrolled in university and managed to get a degree. Make it make sense. He's a sadistic psychopath who's kind of just let roam free, as you do. And then he went and got himself a degree. He started doing even a PhD. So how does this make sense? Oh wait, it will. Because when you find out what he did, he was doing his studies and PhD in, guess what? Homicidal tendencies. I don't think he needs a degree in that. I think he's got it down. An ex-girlfriend would come forward later.
Homicidal tendencies? Did he get a good grade at least? Top of his class? I'd hope.
On and say, Stephen, he could be sweet, but also a bit odd. He would sleep with cotton balls in his ears because he didn't want bugs to get in, which is like, okay, I mean, maybe he grew up with...
I used to do that when I was little. I used to sleep with those orange earplugs in my ears. In my defense, I was in the Cub Scouts and I wasn't touched. But we was in the Cub Scouts and we went camping at Camp Oyo, Oho, Ho Ho, whatever. It was whatever. And a ladybug crawled in my ear and I literally had to go to the hospital and shit. It was a bitch. So then I just really freaked out that stuff was going to crawl in my ears while I was asleep after that. So I did for the longest time sleep with earplugs in my ears. Come to find out that'll damage your ears worse than a bug crawling in there and having to put sweet oil in it to get it out. Or castor oil. Castor oil works too.
in a very filthy household. Doesn't sound like his mom was great. So, you know, maybe he had like spiders crawling in his ears when he was a kid and that kind of traumatized him. Alright, fair enough. Also, though, she would say that in his apartment, his furniture was all covered in plastic. Even the carpet. I mean, the resale value alone, you gotta think about that, I guess. I'll give him that. Although maybe he also just didn't want to get blood on it. Because another girlfriend after this one would say he was violent and controlling. One time she went out to a nightclub without him, so he headbutted her in the face. It was after she left him for beating the
I mean, I've been angry because like the old lady's going somewhere that I really liked without me, and it's like, oh, really? Well, you went there, or you was with your. Who cares about them fuckers? To go to like one of my favorite places with one of my favorite people, who gives a shit? I would have went, but I've never been like, you went to a club without me. That's some stupid shit, bro. Now, I like going to my favorite places with my favorite people. It makes it so much better. And yeah, I would be upset. But just to go to a club, this poor lady gonna get headbutted in the face? Bro, clubs ain't even all that great.
shit out of her. That's when neighbors said he started slicking back his hair, wearing long-ass trench coats, donning that real goth look with eyeliner even, and getting pet lizards and walking them on leashes in the neighborhood. He's so cringe, it kinda rocks. One former friend recalled Stephen showing him his lizards, and how he fed them live rats. Then, to his friend's absolute dismay and shock, Stephen was like, check this out. Picked up a baby rat himself, a live one, gobbled it down. Gobbled it away, washed it down with a glass of water. Hardcore. And during all of this time, he
Straight
created an online
beast.
pseudonym for himself on good old MySpace. Remember them days? I don't.
Oh,
MySpace
yeah.
is even older than me. His username, though, was Then Pariah.
Damn.
He often posted dark and twisted.
Look, I loved my MySpace. My MySpace was the shit. I had my background. It was like a moving flame. I had all kinds of music saved in my MySpace. All kinds of shit on my MySpace, bro. I actually have pictures on my MySpace that I took with my Virgin mobile phone from when my oldest was probably 2, maybe 3, sitting on my lap and us playing some drums together. Like, bro, can you even still get on MySpace stuff? Like, if you can, I would love to get on MySpace and get some of my old shit back. If it's even still fucking there. Man.
Quotes, like I said, he was extremely goth. Some of notable serial killers and fictional killers from movies and books. One night, he posted, "What will the pseudo-human do, one wonders? Poor Stephen. Pretended to be me, but he was only the wrapping. I knew towards the end that I supplied the inner core of iron. Hatred bound tightly in flesh. At very long last, the time has come
Okay.
to act out."
Okay.
It was in June 2009 that Stephen became kind of restless with lizards, eating live rats, reading books about murders. He was like, you know what? Listen up. I've done enough academia. It's time to get to the practical. His dark desire to act out his murderous tendencies kind of like fully won him over. And so he headed to Bradford's red light district. There he met 43-year-old Susan Rushworth. Susan had 3 children.
What's the red light? Is that prostitution? I'm not saying it because it's a lady. I was just generally asking, is that what red light district means? Is that where, like, it's known you're going to go there with, like, $20 in your pocket and you're going to walk away with a somewhat okay smile? And a really bad itch? I just have one of those minds. It's constantly learning, you know.
Of her own, and unfortunately weathered the wrong path in life after her marriage broke down and she was introduced to drugs. Her mother had tried to help her by paying for her to go to rehab, but she always seemed to find herself back in the lifestyle of sex trafficking and drugs, and she had suffered a brain hemorrhage which led to her developing epilepsy. According to Susan's mother, Christine, that was the catalyst that threw her into the life of sex work and drugs. Around the time she went missing, she was living with her mom and trying to clean herself up. She told her mom one day she was headed to the store, she'd be right back. Of course, she was never back. Police interviewed locals and even drained.
That makes me more angry than anything. Someone who was dealt a shit hand and they are actually trying to put their life back in order and put all the pieces to the puzzle back together, and that makes me very angry.
A nearby lake. Her bank cards and phone were never used again, and so foul play was suspected. Susan's remains have never been found. In April 2010, 31-year-old Shelley Armitage went missing from the same district as Susan did. Also a sex worker and a mother of two, Shelley had turned to sex work as a way to fuel her drug addiction. The last interaction she had with her family was the very day she went missing. She just happened to run into her parents there while she was out shopping, yapping away. Then she left, and that was it. Her boyfriend reported her missing when she didn't come home that night, and she never went to collect her security payment. Stephen reportedly killed Shelley with his good old trusty crossbow in his apartment before dismembering her, and he filmed the entire thing on his phone. Then he bagged up her remains in just like plastic bags, took it on a bus like public transport before dumping it, disposed of it in a local river. But this is kind of how bracy he was filming it all just, you know, on the bus. Oh, don't mind me with my bag full of person. But funnily enough, this dipshit then lost his phone that he'd filmed the murder of Shelley. He lost the phone. He just happened to fell out of his pocket or something on the bus. It was found. A good few people saw the video before passing it on to the police. However, by the time it was turned over to the police, it wouldn't be in time to stop his final victim, which was just over a month after Shelley Armitage disappeared. The footage that was recovered from the phone, by the way, allegedly it showed Shelley hogtied in Stephen's bathtub. "My sex slave" was written on her back in black ink. It was May 2010 that 31-year-old Suzanne Blaine-Myers would be Stephen's next and final victim. The street name she went by was Amber. She had been introduced to drugs early, and by 21 was using sex work to support her habit. Before Suzanne had been introduced to drugs, she had been, just a regular, happy woman who had studied to be a nurse, but it had all gone downhill from there. It was thought that Suzanne and Shelley, who lived only a couple of streets away from each other, had been friends. Suzanne was the girl that Peter Gee witnessed on his apartment complex CCTV that Monday afternoon. She bravely made a run for freedom out of Stephen's apartment, only to be shot down with a crossbow in the hallway and dragged back in to flat 33. Considering he now had killed two within a month's time, would have been pretty soon before the next one. He was obviously escalating and escalating. It was his dream to become a serial killer, and yeah, sometimes just don't follow your dreams. Let dreams just die a death. It's actually been suspected that Stephen killed before. He's kind of like sort of kind of been suspected of killing up to six women. Every time he's in question about this, he refuses to talk, but he has said he has killed loads. How much is a load? It's not that surprising though, given his track record. It's almost like he became bored and started killing, because he had nothing better to do. And it's also not like he was hiding it. Everybody who knew him was like, oh yeah, wow, he's a killer, he's a serial killer.
Don't surprise me none.
He was eating rats in front of his buddies. He was posting shitty quotes online.
Sick motherfucker.
But then in other pictures, he looks like the most normal fella ever. Look at him, he's having some crack. He even took body parts on public transportation in bags, filming it all on his phone. Not expert hidden serial killer, he was not. And then giving the middle finger to a security camera. Whew, he's hardcore. Stephen finally got the ultimate attention when the cops slapped him with bracelets. Stephen was arrested the same day Peter Gee witnessed the CCTV footage on May 24th, 2010. After witnessing the horrific murder on the camera, Peter immediately called the police. This was around 1 p.m. Police arrived and arrested him shortly afterward. And Stephen went willingly. He was almost like, what took you so long? He was kind of just sitting there. He knew he'd been captured on CCTV on Saturday night, but so I guess...
Finally, you all got here. Jesus Christ, I thought I was going to have to call you all my fucking self. Man, I ordered a pizza and everything. What took y'all so long? Was it one of those situations? Man, the dude's a shit.
From then till when he was arrested on Monday, he was like, where are they? Then when they arrested him, he was like rambling, claiming he was Bin Laden. It's like, what? At the same time, though, his apartment was also like mid cleanup. Like, you know, there was bleach everywhere. The carpet, which was covered in blood, was in the process of being torn up.
I mean, kind of looks like someplace Osama bin Laden would keep up.
His trusty crossbow, though, right smack dab on the couch, pride of place. I guess the dismemberment he had done right after he had murdered Suzanne, well, that had left quite a mess. So I can only imagine for his first thought was like, I'm going to be arrested any minute now. And then probably by the time Sunday evening came around, he was like, I'm not arrested. Better start cleaning.
Are you saying that you killed Susan Rushworth?
I mean, if you're going to jail, do you really want to spend your last few hours of freedom smelling bleach and everything else? Nah. Now, when it's going on and on and on and you ain't seen a jail yet, you're like, okay, then I'm going to have to pick this shit up. I ain't got nothing else to do now.
Yes.
And what was the other name?
Shelley Armitage.
Are you saying that you've murdered Shelley Armitage?
Yes.
And then the last one?
Susan Blamer.
Right. You say you murdered her?
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Steve, and I appreciate you telling us that, and it's important. What were you setting things on fire for?
Well, to destroy DNA, but like I say, in such a reckless, crazy manner. I can't believe, mind you, I don't know, I think, like I said, caretaker perhaps had other things on his mind, but otherwise I can't believe, you know, with the smoke that must have been billowing out of the windows. Although I did keep them shut for a while as well, so that's why I got a lot of soot all over me, and eventually I got a breathing mask on.
So, how would you know that fire destroys DNA?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I mean, that was something I always kept meaning to check up on the internet, but it was just an assumption that, well, certainly I think the principle I operated on was, well, it certainly isn't going to enhance the quality of the evidence.
In his interview with the police, he was rather flippant about the murder.
He's got the logic to him, I guess. How did you know fire destroys evidence? The fire destroys everything, bro, except for fingerprints. Sometimes it can actually solidify fingerprints into a better fingerprint. It's fucking stupid, I know, but it happens. Yeah, but his answer is, well, I didn't think it would make evidence better. Oh, I would have stabbed him with a pencil.
Murders, showing zero emotion, zero remorse, stating, I'm misanthropic. I don't have much time for the human race. Guys, it's too dark.
And what sort of location have you put them in? If you can't tell us where, what sort of location have you put them?
I don't know. Where a robot, where a computer would put it. You know, a rational, emotionless aberration would put it.
Why did you feel the need to kill her?
I don't know. That's like deep issues inside me.
So why did you feel the need to kill any of the girls? Byrne?
I don't know. Well, I'm misanthropic. I don't have much time for the human race.
He was, however, very compliant with the police, giving the police kind of any answers they wanted, minus giving away the location.
Is he on drugs? I know. I know. I hear you out there. I hear you all. Bill. Everyone who acts like that doesn't mean they're on drugs. And I was just asking because he acts like he's kind of like then back to a little bit and kind of. I was just wondering if he might be on like some sort of like drugs or sedatives or something, or maybe they doped him up and because he was just going so bad shit crazy, literal bad shit crazy. I was just wondering if that was like his normal everyday way he acts, or I have questions, okay?
for Susan Rushworth's body. DNA of all 3 victims, known victims that is, was found on his stove and in his bathtub, despite his best efforts to clean them up. He told police that he had cooked and ate part of his victims. On his last victim, he ate parts of her raw. I can imagine when he was eating or nibbling or whatever, maybe he wasn't even doing that, he just put the food near the stove. I can imagine when he was doing that, he was thinking, man, this is gonna freak out the cops so much. When asked police, like, why did you do it? What was your motive? You know, why did you decide to become a killer? He had no good answer to that question. Really, the only one thing he said was that when you kill parts of yourself.
I don't know if I just sometimes you kill someone to kill yourself or kill parts. I don't know.
There's easier ways to do it than that, pal. His anger and violence against women, sex workers, likely stems from his mommy issues. I mean, she was getting it on in the garden. Not long after his arrest, a woman found a rucksack nearby in the river. It was the decapitated head of Suzanne Blamires. The bolt from the crossbow was still lodged in her head. All in all, police recovered 81 pieces of Suzanne from the river. At trial, Stephen pleaded guilty to all counts. No messing about. Well, okay, maybe a little messing about, because when he was like on the dock and they asked for his name, he gave the crossbow Cannibal. Just more proof he was in it for the whole coolness factor, what he thought was cool. He showed no remorse or expression while victim impact statements were read. He scowled often and crossed his arms in a statement of indifference. Psychiatrists that assessed Stephen for the trial went on record to say he was mentally fit and fine, just obsessed with murder, which is wild. Okay, we're gonna need to invent a stronger word than obsessed, because this is... woof. But hey, other than that, he has a great head on his shoulders. Regardless, it took 2 hours to have it all done and dusted with. Stephen was given 3 life sentences, and the judge said he will never, ever, ever see the light of day. Prison life has been hard on poor old Stephen. He's serving out his sentence at HMP Longlark in Worcestershire. He's attempted to take his own life several times and was even found unconscious with a sock around his neck. In 2011, he went on a 10-month hunger strike, where police statements said his organs were shutting down and he had barely moved from his bed. In 2019, he was attacked by another prisoner who got a sharp piece of wood and stabbed him through the chest. Stephen was rushed to hospital, and unfortunately, he survived.
Piece of shit.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much for having me. I always have a great time watching your channel, Mike. Like, you do amazing work. You put enough laughter in there to lighten the load of the story, but yet still quite respectful. And I do appreciate the job you do, sir. All right. I really enjoyed today's video. If y'all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. While you're down there, if you want, go on over, slap that subscribe button, become part of the Bill 5000 Nation. We do some crazy shit here. If you want to know when that crazy shit happens, ding that bell. It might work for you, it might not. But if it do, jump in on one of my premieres, go over in the live chat and say, hey, Bill, you just dinged me. And yes, I have been seeing some of y'all. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Thank y'all so much. It makes me smile. Sometimes I don't get to jump in there as fast as I can. There's been all kinds of shit going on around this little area of mine here lately. Between power going out, internet just up and going stupid, my phone. Oh, don't even get me started on that shit. Oh my God. But I love it. I love you guys so much. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Man, I tell you what made that man's head right. Getting a hat from the Bill 5000 merch store. It does a world of difference.